Aren't you glad you tuned in? First ever live on the air performance using the vintage 1960s, I'm going to guess, maybe early 70s General Electric Tote-A-Tune. An appropriate instrument, the Tote-A-Tune, for a show called Tent Talks Tunes. Here I am in rather Spartan surroundings. So as usual, it's the beginning of the show, and I got the start of the show, Technological Blues. So I gotta reach over to the monitor and make sure that I'm going out live to all you people out there in internet land. This, as I speak these words, being Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Facebook. And of course, if you guys are watching later, it might be Facebook, it might be here on my YouTube channel. Either way, welcome aboard. Good to have you. This is third week in a row where I reach over here, click, and get the feedback from all you people, including Alan. Hello, Alan. Thanks for being on board, Alan. Cheers to you. Danbury Tap, drunk in your name. Third week in a row where I was not totally sure if I was going to come on the air or not, because as you have heard many times, it's sort of my mantra, if not my Jeremiah, that I am moving to North Carolina. I am uprooting my cabin in the woods. I've been established here almost 11 years, but I have powerful incentives for skedaddling from Western Connecticut after living here since 1986. Yep. North Carolina is the home of the world's best band, the almighty Anti-Scene, who I play the bass guitar for, and the world's best woman, Chrissy Walker, who I've been going steady with now for almost exactly 3 years. I think tomorrow is going to be 1 week away from our 3rd anniversary. Pretty cool, huh? And I've been with Anti-Scene for over 5 at this point. And so I've, one of my bromides, one of my go-to sort of sayings that you could see on a plaque on a wall somewhere if you're in the right location would be, the 2 worst reasons for moving are to join a band and to pursue a relationship. So of course I'm doing both. I'm moving to North Carolina to truly be a full-time permanent member of Anti-Scene, and to truly be in a full-time permanent committed relationship with the artist currently known as Pissy Chrissy. And I think that 5 years with one and 3 years with the other has shown us that it's a pretty safe bet. It's like if you can survive in a band situation and a relationship situation long distance for that amount of time, then the odds are pretty good that when you get up close and personal, survival is a safe bet. So I'm doing it, kids. I am doing it. And it's got to the point now where things are really, really torn apart. You will notice the lack of background. I haven't done a Tent Talks Tunes without my famous tropical backdrop in quite a while. Like when I very first started out doing this, all I had was my bare office walls. But then I got the backdrop, the world famous backdrop, and it is currently obscured by many, many boxes. And I just did not have the wherewithal to move all those boxes out of the way and bring the backdrop here, which is okay because the things I want to show and tell today are pretty much too big to exhibit correctly with the backdrop. I need to have a little bit of distance between me and the camera to show these things that I've been digging out while I've been prepping for my move. Per, hello, Per from Sweden. Good to see you, Mang. Welcome to my, I'm not going to say nightmare because it's not a nightmare, but welcome to my stress fest. As we know, a violin does not make music unless it's got stress in the strings. So, yeah, I got plenty of stress, but baby, I'm making progress here. And while waiting for the second moving container to be delivered today, myself and my former employee, Tommy P., got together and emptied out the attic of my little cabin in the woods. And I'm telling you guys, honest Injun, I didn't think I had that much stuff in the attic. I really thought that emptying the attic was going to be a minute steak. But no, it's more like a 7-course meal. And I've got the spoils of our labors scattered all over the place. Too much to show right here, right now, but man, it's, believe me, I got boxes of stuff. And, you know, we're unloading and unloading and unloading, so I really wasn't sure if I would have the time or I'd be in the mood to go on live. But as you guys know, I'm the guy who likes to say yes. I'm the dude who would rather look back and say, I did that, rather than look back and say, man, I wish I had done that. I really am results-oriented. So even though it had come to 6:30 tonight and I was still eating my lunch and my blood sugar wasn't up to peak, I was like, you know, I gotta go on. I have to go on. How could I not go on? What possible excuse do I have for not going on? So here I am. I'm on for Tent Talks Tunes. And one of the reasons that I had doubts was I didn't know what I was going to talk about. But then I realized, dude, I'm surrounded by stuff to talk about. I am up to my sternum in things to talk about. I've got stuff to talk about no matter where I reach my hands. So yeah, I just randomly grabbed a few things. I'm going to talk about them. Stuff I discovered today while cleaning out the attic, including, yes, the Tota Tunes. I've had this thing for years and years and years and years. And it always lacked C batteries. You know, everything in the world runs on AA's or 9 volts. But this thing, harkening back to, I'm going to guess, the late 60s or early 70s by the design of it, has the almost archaic C-sized battery. And I just never got around to buying C-sized batteries to put in this thing because I've got this really weird thing. I don't like batteries. I really don't like putting batteries into things. I think a lot of it has to do with, well, you know, you go through all the trouble to put these batteries in the device, and then maybe the batteries are no good, or maybe you put the batteries in wrong, and then you got to take the batteries out and put batteries back in. I'm putting it on the public record right now, guys. I have a very strange, weird mental block when it comes to batteries. Which is so funny because, you know, so much of what I do is battery powered. But this thing required 6 C-cell batteries. I didn't want to have to go out and buy batteries and then, you know, go through the whole rigmarole I just told you about. But the thing is with this move that I'm doing, and if any of you guys out there have moved your household, you'll know that this is a wonderful thing. You start looking at all the stuff you got, and I don't know, at least for me, I would just look at everything I have and just be like, you know what? If I don't need it, or if it doesn't work, or it's been sitting in this box since I moved in here unopened, I probably don't need it. You know, and that's especially in the if it doesn't work department. I've got tons of stuff going to the electronics recycle center tomorrow. Cassette decks that don't work anymore. An old 16-track digital recorder that doesn't work anymore. It's like you put these things aside and think, well, you know, maybe someday I'll fix it, or maybe someday somebody will fix it for me. And after almost 11 years, you realize, you know what? I'm never going to fix it. I'm never going to find someone to fix it for me. Get rid of it! Or in the case of this, it needs 6 C-cell batteries. Well, I'm not going to haul it down to North Carolina without at least seeing if it works. So I'm going to do the super thing, and I'm actually going to go ahead and buy those batteries and put it in here and see if it works. And much to my delight, it works. What a wonderful, beautiful example of plastic, battery-powered, all-analog, late 60s technology. The Tota Tune. This is going to be wrapped up safely in bubble wrap and toted down to my new digs in North Carolina. And I hope the neighbors, if I have any neighbors, don't mind the sound of a tota tune being played all hours of the night. Because I have a feeling that some creativity is going to result from this. And check it out. Plastic carrying strap included. And the original owner's name on the back. Can't quite read it. But there it is. It's mine now. You saw it and heard it here first on Tent Talks Tunes. Who knows what musical endeavors will result from that. So yeah, so many things. So many things. Normally I would be showing you the bulletin board, but the bulletin board ain't here. I, of course, have to do a quick mention and a big shout out to the fact that Anti-Scene are playing next weekend, September 1st, at the Beer Olympics in Atlanta, Georgia. We are co-headlining night 3 with our label mates, the Anti-Heroes. There are scads of other bands on the bill over the preceding nights. Headlining the first night is New Hampshire's all-time classic punk rock band, The Queers. Headlining Saturday night is Negative Approach. And, of course, us and the Anti-Heroes on Sunday night, with strong undercards all 3 nights. So Atlanta, Georgia, September 1st is us. August 31st and the 30th before that, many, many great bands. Beer Olympics, Atlanta. We'll be there. You should be there. And then a couple weeks after that, Devotional. Yes, the Devo fan gathering. The annual gathering of the Devo tribe is taking place at the Beachland Ballroom in Cleveland, Ohio. You know that place that's round on the ends, high in the middle? Ohio. Yes. The full announcement of performers and attractions is going to be made very soon. Devotional has a Facebook page. My pal Michael Pilmer has his website, Devo Obsesso. That's Devo-Obsesso.com. He will be posting the full schedule of events. I know I'll be there. I will be performing a set of Devo songs with a group called Going Under. Lead vocalist Nicole Storr of the Devo 2.0 group of young people that was around a while ago. And a host of other stellar musicians. So don't miss that. I have to reach over here and grab the calendar so you can take a quick glimpse at my shoulder and my unkempt hair today, because it's been one of those days. Devotional is September 20th and 21st. September 20th and 21st at the Beachland Ballroom. Mr. Bruiser Braswell says, have we decided the theme for this year yet? The theme has been posted. I think it's Are You Experienced? Taken after Devo's cover of the Jimi Hendrix song. I've only seen the art, and it is of the 12-inch single of Devo's Are You Experienced? So I'm assuming that's what it is. I could be wrong. I guess we're all going to find out soon enough. Bruiser Braswell will be with us in Atlanta. If you want to see the best-looking man behind a merch table in all of show business, you definitely want to come to the Beer Olympics and take a gander at Bruiser Braswell as he works his salesman magic on the crowd at the Beer Olympics. Bruiser Braswell also being the lead singer for the great Taped Fist from Macon, Georgia. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. The lovely and talented Bruiser Braswell in full effect with the Anti-Scene Road Crew. Miss him at your own risk. So yeah, what else did I find besides the wonderful Tote-A-Tune? Well, I found some posters. I am an inveterate collector. Bruiser Braswell will tell you, you see me at an Anti-Scene gig, I'm the guy pulling flyers off the wall. I'm the guy pulling posters out of the garbage can. I'm a little bit nutty that way. But I got a cool-ass poster collection. How about this? Toots and the Maytals, autographed by Toots himself. Got this when Toots played at the Ridgefield Playhouse in Ridgefield, Connecticut, back in 2008, I think it was, on my birthday, September 23rd. And he put on a great show, awesome show. You get to see a genuine, honest-to-jaw reggae legend and top-shelf musician in a place like Ridgefield, Connecticut. I mean, on your birthday, you gotta say yes. And my good pal Jay Law, he used to be the manager at Ridgefield Playhouse, got me the Toots autograph. So that's pretty cool. That's a good thing to fish out of an attic and put back into the real world. Oh yeah. What else did we find here? And believe me, this is just the smallest little sliver of poster action. I just found one pile and rifled through it really fast and picked out a few that caught my eye immediately. Here's one. This is a very fond night for me. This is the first time I ever came face to face with Nelson Slater. The great, the odd, the eccentric, the unusual, the extremely talented, the unique, irreplaceable Nelson Slater and his band Steam Age Time Giant. This was at Bourbon Street in Columbus, Ohio. August 24th, I think the year must have been 2016, 2017, somewhere in the 20 teens. And the person who booked the show, I forget the dude's name, he booked me in Columbus a few times. He said, man, just wait. Wait till you see Nelson Slater. This guy is right up your alley. I was like, all right, that's cool. I've played with a number of great artists and bands who I really, really like, including some who I'd never seen before, but who blew my mind upon seeing them the first time. And Nelson Slater with Steam Age Time Giant was one of them. I remember that the band was on stage, and I thought they were just tuning up or sound checking, but no, they just started playing their set without even telling anybody. And Nelson's dog was running around, and it turns out that it was basically Nelson Slater playing his keyboard and playing songs, but with everybody else around him improvising. And I don't know if anybody had actually heard these songs prior to the gig or not, but I found out this is the way Nelson Slater likes to do it. He's got the songs that are fully written, fully developed songs, but with this sort of atmosphere of mayhem around him. And he insists on that. And that makes for some very uneasy listening. And it made me a fan just like that. I knew I was seeing something good and unique, and I really, really liked it. And I ended up, because of this one gig at the Bourbon Street in Columbus, Ohio, getting to know Nelson, be friendly with him. I had him on my radio show when I was still doing radio in New Haven, and did a couple of releases with him on my fabulous label, TPOS. I would normally reach back right now and point to the TPOS logo, but as you can see, ain't nothing there. Ain't nothing there. But you know what? The difference between nothing and something is a very small difference. There's nothing there, but there is something there. You don't even have to stick tight. You can actually watch me stand up and lean over and grab a couple of visual props. You can see my very comfortable jammies I'm wearing right now. You can see me looking through boxes of TPOS inventory. See, a very fine line between something and nothing. And here we have one example of each Nelson Slater / Steam Age Time Giant release on TPOS. This is genuinely unusual, unique, and wonderful outsider music. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't have released it. Nelson Slater, Steam Age Time Giant, TPOS. I recommend it. And it all started this night, at this gig, at that venue. Bourbon Street, one of my favorite venues to play. Honest to God, authentic punk rock dive. good people. And man, they had a pierogi stand there. I could get me some vegan pierogies that were out of this world. I hope that Bourbon Street is still there, and I hope the pierogies are still there. Oh, the potato pierogies and a wicked homemade veggie burg, too. Oy, I need to get back there. Found this authentic poster for TPOS 100. Speaking of TPOS, back in the year 1994, I celebrated both the 10th anniversary and 100th release of my fabulous label TPOS by releasing a bagged set, not a boxed set, but a bagged set. The set consisted of a 12-inch LP, a 10-inch LP, and a 7-inch single on red, white, and green vinyl, respectively, plus a cassette, plus a booklet detailing the entire history of every release on TPOS, and a bunch of random goodies and gimcracks thrown in there just to stuff the bag and make it look really full. And the entire thing was wrapped up in these awesome, I don't know if this is a, what type of press made these fantastic, totally matte color circus posters, carnival posters, offset printing, I really don't know, but not digital, all analog, made with wooden blocks. You can actually feel the impressions that the blocks made on the cardboard itself, with 6 different stock designs, all of which date back to the early 60s probably. I had 6 different ones printed, each one with the basic information, and a different image in the middle, and folded the posters up so that the records would fit inside them, and they would all fit inside a large plastic bag, hence the bag set. Oh, yes. I kept a couple of each poster design and a few completed bag sets for the archive, and just seeing this poster, man, I love this type of artwork. I love these sorts of graphics. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if they do still make posters like this anymore. I've seen a lot of carnival and fair posters, but they look modernized and digital. Not that interesting to me. So who was on the TPOS 100 bag set? I put them on the record in the order that I got the tracks from the bands. So you got Cocknoose, Mad Brother Ward, Anti-Scene, Creature Did, Have a Hedge, Leadfoot, The Bunny Brains, F-Boys, Freak Baby, Punch Drunk, Stub, Her Tears, Shyster and Flywheel, me, Gnu Fuzz, Amy K, China Pig, Monsterland, Closet Full of Fear, Chicken Duty Faggot, Blue Green God's Head, and a pole. In other words, a really heady mix of contemporary Connecticut bands, bands from the past, and also a fair number of Confederacy of Scum bands, because that was really happening in '94 when I put this thing together. And those are the bands who answered the call. And as a fact, I made 500 of those, and even as we speak, I have two remaining copies in stock that for some reason over the years did not sell. I don't know why, but I got 2 of these things left. 2 of them. So if you want one, talk to me. Or look it up on my Discog store. And I can definitely say that once they're gone, they are gone forever. I am never going to repress that one ever again. It just ain't happening. Massive project. You figure it took me 30 years to sell 498 of them. So I'm not in the mood to take another 30 years to sell another 498 of them. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. When I was a little kid living in Florida, my mother and father had a couple of friends named Sam and Terry. If I remember correctly, Sam was a construction worker. Terry was either his wife or girlfriend. I'm not sure. You know, back in those days, hell, even in these days, you never know for sure. These days, you would use a term like partner. Partner. I don't mind taking a stand on certain issues. I don't mind going out on a limb and sticking my neck out a little bit. The one that's got the poison ivy on it. Don't know if you can see that, but I can sure feel it. Whew. I'll take a stand every now and then, and there are certain words in the English language I do not like, and partner is one of them. Don't like it. I think it takes a relationship and reduces it to being a limited liability corporation or a law firm. Partner. Cut, dried, sterile, boring. No. Boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. Hell, significant other, you know? Gee, that one's not very good either, but partner. Partner is just so dry. Anyway, so Sam, his wife or girlfriend, were reputed to be hippies. My mom and dad described them as being hippies. Now, to me, that was pretty cool, you know, because good old mom and dad, they took me to see the movie entitled Woodstock at the Opelika Drive-In when I was, 6 years old, 7 years old. And seeing all those hippies on the big screen, and it was a big screen, let me tell you. Seeing those hippies and seeing Pete Townsend windmilling the guitar and Richie Havens thrashing the hell out of an acoustic guitar and Sly and the Family Stone and, Jimi Hendrix and, of course, Janis. And, that was mind-blowing stuff to see rock and roll on that scale. Bigger than life, huger than life. And all those hippies everywhere. From that moment on, I wanted to be a hippie. And so a chance to actually meet a couple of real hippies, that was pretty cool. So Sam and Terry were going to go over to their apartment in Opelika, same place where I saw the movie, and hang out for an afternoon. I was very excited. So I didn't know what to expect, really. Well, actually, I knew what I was expecting. I was expecting a guy and a gal with fringed vests and flowered bell bottoms. Robin Renee is tuned in. Robin, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you understand what I'm saying? I wanted to meet hippies, fringed vests, flowered bell bottoms, peace signs every 14 seconds, beaded headbands. I wanted the hippie experience. You know, I didn't even know what patchouli was, but I'm sure I wanted some patchouli to happen. Oh, yeah. Yes, I wanted to meet these hippies. And it was mildly anticlimactic. They were very nice people. Very nice people. And, Sam, the guy, he had kind of long hair, which was good. Because nobody growing up in my suburban neighborhood had long hair. I wasn't allowed to have long hair. Gary Forney, TPOS recording artist Gary Forney. Yes, pull tab chains. Back when aluminum cans had pull tabs. And he'd make necklaces out of them. Who here knows what I'm talking about? Come on now. We're talking real hippie culture. Anyway, Sam had long hair. Terry had long hair. I'm pretty sure they had a beanbag chair in their apartment, which is pretty cool. Very hippie. And they also had a Deep Purple album. I remember it was Machine Head. I remember staring at that album cover with those distorted pictures of Deep Purple and thinking, wow, this is really hippie. Yeah, these are hippies. Yeah. And they also had a copy of Steppenwolf. For ladies only. Oh, yes. Steppenwolf for ladies only. I already knew Steppenwolf because dear old dad had a copy of the Steppenwolf Gold album, their greatest hits, and that got a lot of turntable play. Oh, Magic Carpet Ride, Sookie Sookie, Screaming Nighthog. Yeah. Hey, Lottie Mama. Oh, yeah. Steppenwolf. Hippies, all of them. Hippies. Electrical spool tables. Yes, Gary Forney, you are definitely there, and that's a true fact. My father worked for Florida Power and Light, and he brought home a couple of those great big wooden electrical cable spools. These are true facts, kids. And he made a giant-sized outdoor patio table out of one of them, because these things were huge. And he also made a kind of a tree fort for me and my brothers. He took two of these really huge ones and just stacked them on top of each other and wired them together. So we had an honest-to-God 2-story fort in our backyard made out of these giant electrical cable spools. And he also brought a smaller one home that we used as kind of like a wheelie. You know, like you could walk on it and wheel it around the yard. Yeah, man, electrical cable spools. You're bringing back memories I haven't thought of in a very long time. Cheers to that. In fact, I remember for the giant-sized electrical cable spool table he made for the backyard, he blackened it by using a blowtorch. He took a blowtorch and just ran it all over the surface of the giant wooden electrical cable spool. I guess it was, I don't know, easier than painting it black. I don't know. But he blackened it with a blowtorch. And it had this really weird kind of like matte finish to it, which I didn't really like. It was very kind of like sandpapery, but I don't know. Seemed like the thing to do at the time, I guess. We ate many, many, many hamburgers, hot dogs, bowls of relish, and potato chips off of that large, blackened, electrical wire spool table. And I put plenty of miles around the backyard, walking around, rolling around on that spool. Dude, how cool was that? Gary Forney says lava lamps. You better believe it. Our next door neighbors, Gene and April, had a lava lamp. And I would sit there and stare at that thing for hours. That lava lamp was, it was mind-blowing. Even though I was, whatever, 6 or 7 years old, my mind was blown. My mind was blown. And it's all because of the Woodstock movie. Anyway, back to Sam and Terry, the hippies. The one thing that I saw in their apartment, I didn't know what it was. I didn't quite understand it. I thought that Terry herself made it because it looked homemade and home painted. But hanging on their wall was this very poster. War is not healthy for children and other living things. And of course, you know, having a very young brain and seeing the way that the words were divided up, it took me a while to understand exactly what it said. I thought it was like, war is not healthy, children, other living things, for and. Or is it, for and war is not healthy, children, other living things? It took me a while to comprehend exactly what the sentence was. I was like, is that the way hippies talk? I mean, I guess it's the way they draw and that's the way they paint, but do they talk that way? I know they say man, groovy, love, peace, but I don't understand this poster. I don't get it. Now I understand it. Now I get it. Even though I do not consider myself a hippie, I've got a thing about bathing regularly. Can't help it. But hey, war is not healthy for children and other living things, and it's on a poster. And also, just as a little FYI, if you want to talk about the Woodstock movie, in my opinion, the only bands or performers that have aged well from that entire movie are Richie Havens. Make sure that I am indeed still on. I'm gonna do this again because, as we know, the internet is extremely finicky, and I'll tell you, Jeff Clayton, my boss in Anti-Scene, went through this a couple weeks ago with his show Break On Through, where he couldn't tell if he was on the air or not. Seems like I definitely was not on the air, but now I'm back. Hopefully you guys are still with me. And by the way, you do want to watch Break On Through every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on the Anti-Scene official Facebook page. That is an endorsement from me to you. Okay, so we're back on. And apparently one of the ghosts of the artists who did not make the list for my approved roster of Woodstock artists is interfering with the mojo of the stream. But I'm going to say it again. The only 4 artists who, in my opinion, aged well from the Woodstock movie or the soundtrack album or any of that: Richie Havens, The Who, Jimi Hendrix, Sly and the Family Stone. I was about to go on about I never liked John Sebastian. I never liked Melanie. I never liked Creedence. Canned Heat were always god-awful. Never liked Janis. I always liked Blood, Sweat, and Tears, but they weren't even in the movie or on the albums. See, at the risk of being a negative Ned here, I'm just going to say those are my 4 favorite artists from the Woodstock experience who I can still stand to listen to today. I can do it. We got here, Robin Renee says Richie was the first one I thought of. Oh my God, Richie Havens. See, now I don't like to use the word influence because I don't honestly think I've ever looked at anybody, like any kind of artist or musician, and looked at them or heard them and say, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do what they're doing. I think inspiration is a better word. I was inspired by Richie Havens. Seeing this guy is huge. It's just one guy, one dude on this gigantic drive-in movie theater screen just thrashing the hell out of an acoustic guitar. You know, and it was an acoustic guitar. I don't know what that unlocked in my brain, but that door stayed open forever, and it still is. And it was kind of the same thing with The Who. Watching Pete Townsend just manhandle that Gibson SG and just do things that you probably weren't supposed to do with a guitar, but he was doing it, and the sounds that came out were just astonishing. Yes, I was inspired by that. My eyes, my ears were open to the possibilities of what you could do with an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar by seeing these people perform. Oh yeah. I will drink a swig of Danbury Tap to that. Robin says she got to interview Richie Havens a couple of times. That's pretty cool. I actually totally randomly spotted Richie Havens walking down the street in Coconut Grove, Florida once. Chaos, kids, entropy and gravity. He was just walking down the street in Coconut Grove, Florida, and like a lot of people spotted him, and he was like, yeah, hi, it's me. I'd just rather keep walking, and, just let me, it was plain he just didn't really want to be bothered, but he was gracious about the whole thing. I just let him go, just let him go. And actually I did see him play live once at Florida Atlantic University in '84. Great show. How about Thor? Thor. I found this incredible laminated poster made by my friend Michael Pilmer, who I mentioned before. Not only does he do Devo Obsesso, but he was also Thor's manager for a while. And this is from an epical, incredible concert that I got to promote with Thor and the group he was traveling with at the time, 10 Days Late. We booked these guys, as you can see, at the Newtown Teen Center in Newtown, Connecticut, which is just a few, I think as the crow flies, 3.5 miles down the road from where I am now. But the Newtown Teen Center was, as you would guess by the name, a teen center. It was a hangout for teenagers. And one of the Newtown teens was into punk rock and had a band and was able to open up the teen center to doing live shows. So tons of local Connecticut bands played there. most of them of the Newtown and or teen persuasion, but the people there also hosted some really cool non-Newtown or Connecticut or teenage bands, including Thor. Because I'm sure you guys have heard the story of when I saw Thor in 1998, and it was a completely psychedelic experience. Psychedelic in the literal definition of the word, that it was mind expanding. Seeing Thor for the first time was one of those bellwether events. And the fact that he played the show to 3 people was even more mind expanding. And so I said to him, Thor, I think I can do better for you. A few years elapsed, and we booked Thor at the Newtown Teen Center, and it was insane. I mean, I doubt that the Newtown Teen Centers ever had that many people packed into it. It was pretty much beyond sellout. It was nuts. People drove in from all over New England, and I think as far as Maryland in a couple of cases, to see Thor. And it was just astonishing. And the only downside to it was that was the end of live shows at the Newtown Teen Center, because it was pretty apparent that Thor was not a Newtown teenager, and it was pretty apparent that most of the people, if not all of the people who came to the show, were not local teenagers from Newtown. Although, you know, there were a lot of kids from the local scene who went to that show. There definitely were. But there was also a disproportionate number of, dare I say, elderly metalheads. So they said, guys, no more shows. Sorry. That's not what the place is about. We want you to play air hockey and video games, not have this guy bending steel bars and blowing up hot water bottles for the entertainment of guys like Seth Putnam, who drove all the way down from Massachusetts to see the show. Mark Deal says he met him in San Antonio. Sweet guy. Do you mean Thor or Richie Havens? Or me? I've been to San Antonio. Please clarify, Mark. We need to know. Because Thor is definitely a sweet guy. Thor is a sweetheart, man. One of the nicest guys you would ever hope to meet. As I mentioned in the Thor documentary, yes, Thor, he stayed at my house for several days, him and his entire band, and Thor washed my dishes. Yes, Thor, besides being the man from Ragnarok, was a expert dishwasher. Did a great job washing dishes. Mark Deal says it was Thor and that I'm sweet too. Well, okay, just don't tell anybody. I have an image to uphold. Cool it with the sweetness, okay? Cool it. Don't ask me why. I just do. Dementia 13. Connecticut garage, rock, punk, sleaziness, silk-screened poster. Very few of these made. This hung at the Trash American style brick and mortar shop for many, many years. And yeah, it's a little bit worn, but it's still intact. Dementia 13. Love those guys. Josh Stiles, the current owner of, why am I drawing a blank now? Really cool record shop in Brooklyn. I've been there. I've spent more money than I probably should have. He's bought a lot of my stuff. I can see the logo. Why can't I remember the name? Very embarrassing. It'll come to me at about 4 o'clock this morning when I'm trying to go to sleep. When it happens, I'll post it for sure. Dementia 13, he's also in the great band Daddy Longlegs. This is where he got his start. Oh boy. Here's one. Maybe you guys have talked about, or heard me talk about the Reverend Howard Finster, the man of visions from worlds beyond the light of the sun. I found this signed print of one of his drawings of Jesus Christ. This is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Once again, to use the terms outsider, also primitive, folk art. He did album covers for Talking Heads and REM and a whole bunch of other bands. First time I saw his work in person, it was kind of like seeing the Woodstock movie. I just fell in love with it. Absolutely fell in love with him and his artistic vision. And got to visit him in person a couple of times. Just beautiful. Beautiful. He has since gone back to heaven, but he's left behind many, many works of art. Thumbnail story. He received a vision one day from the Lord telling him to paint 5,000 works of art in dedication to God. And Howard said, "Lord, I don't know how to paint." And the command came back down and said, "Howard, paint 5,000 works of art for me." So Howard got to work. He took a $1 bill out of his pocket. He took the brush he was using while he was painting his bicycle and painted George Washington on a piece of board that was just laying around. And that was work number 1. And I think he got up to over 40,000 works of art, because he would number every one of them. Incredible output. And that's in addition to his Paradise Garden in Summerville, Georgia. If you guys love this kind of thing, look it up. Howard Finster, Paradise Gardens, Summerville, Georgia. If that floats your boat, you're going to be in a big old ark floating forever. And you're going to love it. And all I can do is wrap up with the last poster from the stack, and that is, of course, the official portrait of Betty Crocker. Yes. In the tradition of the aforementioned George Washington portrait, it is unfinished, as you can see. I'm sure that whoever the original artist was did that deliberately so as not to have to deliver the finished product and to be able to use this as a master for copying many, many knockoff portraits of the great, the monumental, the very serious, dour-looking, she means business, Betty Crocker. So I'm very happy to have Betty Crocker in my personal poster collection, along with Dementia 13, Thor, Foreigner, giants, all of them. Every one of them, a giant in their own right. Foreigner, I'm not too sure about. But hey, we'll let it go. We'll let it go. I think I'm done, kids. I think I have said what I have to say and shown what I got to show. If I was going to show everything here, we'd be here all night and most of tomorrow too. But we'll just leave it at that. So I'm very happy I was able to pull this episode of Tent Talks Tunes out of the fryer, because I didn't know if I was going to be on today, but now I've been on and now I'm done. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. It is always my pleasure to serve you up heaping helpings of cultural observation, whimsical witticisms, and jaundiced opinions. I specialize in all of the above. Hopefully I'll be seeing some of you guys September 1st in Atlanta, or September 20th and 21st in Cleveland. If not, I'll see you in about 167 hours right here live on the internet. So until we meet again, this is Malcolm Tent. And of course, Betty Crocker saying so long from the Nutmeg State.